Hi everyone. In this video, I will be covering Node.js web development in a very short way, like just an overview of it. You might be thinking why I'm doing Node stuff because I'm always talking about ASP.NET and I'm like convincing everybody to migrate to ASP.NET Core. So why Node? Well, since a few weeks back, I had been trying to take a break from ASP.NET, especially ASP.NET Core. So I thought I should try something else. I tried Python; it didn't work quite well, but Node it impressed me in the first night. Don't take me wrong. Node is amazing. Node.js. It's beautiful in the most simple ways. It's beautiful because I can use TypeScript and the same concept of async await. Let's say the async await concepts work quite well with Node environment. So I thought maybe I should work out with a Node sample to tell you how easy it is to build a Node.js web application, and especially with Visual Studio Code, which does not require a very much complex setup. So what I have right over here is a very basic installation of Node. I'm currently having 8.9.1 because obviously it is not the long-term support. It's like the cutting edge or bleeding edge or whatever they say in the Node.js community, but this is the latest one. I take my words back. Actually, it is the 9th version, which is the latest one, but I'm currently running 8.9.1. So apart from that, I also have the npm, which is 5.5.1. Pretty much basic installation. You can use any other node or npm. The commands are quite similar. And as for the folder, this is an empty folder in the Windows Explorer. You can open up any of the folders that you have currently and get started. So yeah, the first thing that I personally prefer to do is like to create a few folders, like the source folder, the data folder to contain the models. Oops, let me move it outside. The public folder, you can call it the www root folder as well if you'd like, but I would like to call it public. And after that, let me just create app.js file. This is the main server file that is going to do everything that a web server has to. Okay, I don't want you right now. Okay, so far this is the gist of a Node.js application. It just contains one JS file, a package.json file that I'm going to create in a minute. But what I personally do is I try to keep everything in their own modules. So public, data, and source, these are not necessary. These are not required folders in any way. You can name them whatever you like. I like to name my folders this way. You can use source, www root, models, or whatever you want. The thing is, just keep them separate so that once your application is starting to become a huge and a very popular application, it's not a pain to debug your application once you start getting more users. So yeah, after this, just go ahead and create a new application. You can always create your own file, the package.json file. This is actually the overall backbone of your Node.js application. An easy way is to use the npm init. What this is going to do is it's gonna ask you a few basic questions about your application. As you can see, the node sample is the name of the folder in which we are going to create our application. I'm going to use the defaults. 1.0.0 is fine. Description of a very basic application to demonstrate development of Node.js app. Fine. Entry point. It figured out all by itself that app.js is the entry point. Otherwise, it shows something like index.js, I believe so. So app.js was inside the directory, so it figured it out. test command. We don't have any Node.js tests, and to keep the tutorial very basic and very simple, I'm not gonna add any tests to it. Git repository I don't have, but all of the source code that I'm gonna build in this module, in this video, I'm gonna share it on the description as well as on the GitHub, so you can get it from either way, because the link in the description is also going to redirect you to the GitHub repository. So use as you wish. Keywords, sample, Node.js, blah blah blah. Sorry, foobar, MIT. I like the MIT because it's quite open license. So I'm not sure if you are Apache guy or any other guy, but I prefer MIT. Is this okay? Yes, it is okay. So as you can see, the package.json file was created, which contains quite everything that we could have written easily, and Visual Studio Code would have provided us with the autocomplete features, such as these properties, the name, version, description kind of thing. So I'm gonna show you in a minute how Visual Studio Code is going to help me out with writing the dependencies that we're going to use, like the libraries, the modules, the packages that we're going to use inside this project. So in simple terms, Visual Studio Code is a complete IDE for Node.js development, period. Okay, so yeah, in Node.js what we're going to do is we're going to build a very simple Express server that's going to capture a few URLs such as about, contact, and then I'm going to show you how to use a template engine inside Node.js, using which you can create your own HTTP web applications, write the template, make a web template, integrate some CSS, provide some other stuff. So and all of that will be done by keeping everything pretty much simple and straightforward, so that I don't lose you in the meantime. Now, if I try to run this application, it won't do anything. And if you're just wondering how do I have this run button, because I get that question quite a lot. So I have a few extensions installed. You can extend Visual Studio Code to a great extent. So like, I have this code runner. This is absolutely a wonderful, a marvelous and amazing extension that I have currently installed. I just figured it out a few months back, so I'm not sure Han Solo over here has been publishing and releasing it for how long, but I just figured it out a few months back. But this is amazing. It supports quite every language that I develop on, and even more in most cases. So yeah, you should definitely install it, and once you have it, Visual Studio Code would allow you to run your application like any other IDE. So if you just go over here, you can click this, and it will try to run your application. As you can see, it tried to run that application and finished it because there is no code over here. So we're gonna go ahead and add some dependencies, like the server code, what server we're gonna use, what template engine we're gonna use, and a few other stuff. So just to keep things a bit simple, but to have everything that we require. So now first things first, the Visual Studio Code and the autocomplete features right over there. Just the key up event and everything is right in front of you. So dependencies, and it even creates the type of object it is expecting. You can see for the keywords it had arrays. So if there is a property which expects an array, it would do that. For objects it does that. And not even that, it also integrates with the npm, so that when we're trying to write a package, it would figure out which of the versions is available on npm. So if I do Express is a server, it's a web server framework that takes care of quite a lot of stuff, like the socket management, connections, and blah blah blah, everything it does. And it lets us add some routes, some other configuration, some other middleware, and get ready. Right, so these are the versions that Visual Studio Code automatically figured out by the npm. So like it's very much integrated into the plugin, and it provides you everything right in front of you, rather than you having to go to the npm and looking for the versions and then writing it over here, which is sometimes frustrating and annoying as well. Anyways, we're gonna use this one. And as for if you're thinking why I'm using this one and not this one or this one when they are quite similar, you can read the description on the right side. The currently latest package matches the most recent major version. The major version is the one at the left side, the leftmost side, and this one matches the minor version, the version in the middle. So yeah, you can Google what major versus minor version means if you're unsure, or leave a comment. I'll get back to you definitely. I can do that much. So Pug is the templating framework that we're going to use in this. Pug was previously known as Jade, and now it's Pug. It's coming out and it's quite amazing in most cases. I would have went a step ahead and would have included SQLite 3 to demonstrate the database, but I'm gonna leave this one out for the next video, and I'm gonna demonstrate how you can build up your own server and how you can add the templates to it. Okay, yeah. So after we have added all of this, we can go ahead and install those packages, because currently Node does not know where or what these packages are all about. So npm is going to tell Node that these are the modules, and then Node is going to consume all of those modules, the modules that npm has downloaded. So let me uncomplicate it. Node runs on packages, but the packages exist on the Node package manager, which is the npm. So when you tell npm which packages to download, like we're doing over here in dependencies, once you tell which packages to download, the npm downloads and stores all of those packages so that your node can run on top of it. So let me demonstrate it. npm update. It's gonna go ahead and download all of those packages that are required. In this case, you can have more packages, as I was also suggesting. We're gonna have SQLite 3 package, but I'm gonna skip that for a moment, and I'm gonna try working out with it in the next video. There, it took around 24 seconds and it downloaded all of those packages, and they are over here in this directory, and there are quite a lot of them, a lot of folders and steps. So if you try to focus down, you will see we only had 2 packages, but it installed 105 packages, because Express and Pug, they both have other dependencies. Just the way our node sample has dependencies or 2 packages, these 2 packages would have further dependencies down the tree, and those would have their own dependencies. So that is why it has like 105 packages, and it had to download all of those packages, which is why it took 24 seconds. Now going back to our server app, I'm gonna ask you to know a few basic things of JavaScript, how JavaScript works. So you must know what const a is equal to 25 versus let b is equal to 25 versus variable c is equal to 25 means. So I'm not going to cover all of this because that's the basic language construct, and you as your own must know the basic differences in between what these means. So yeah, if you don't know, you can go to Mozilla Developer Network. They are the best guys, and I trust them, and I do have faith in them, because they provide some of the best tutorials out there, not the W3 schools kind of. No offense to W3 schools, but I just prefer the MDN. So yeah, you can go ahead to MDN and learn the JavaScript basics, and they're gonna teach you some some pure and like standard stuff about the JavaScript. So moving onward, const, I'm gonna do express or require. Now, the require in Node.js is a very vital part, because require actually imports the library. In the file we did demonstrate that our application depends upon express, but that express library is not gonna be made available until we explicitly specify that we need this library, just the way using works, just the way import works in Java or Python and other stuff, just the way include works in C++. So just importing the library into the directory does not mean that your application is able to access all of the resources. You have to explicitly specify that your application is going to make use of such a specific library inside this file. So that is what we're going to do it. We're going to require the express package inside our file. So moving down the tree, we're going to create a new app, and whoops. What we're going to do is we're going to create the application from that package. So this is how Node works. We import the package, we call the function, or we use the attributes, such as I'm going to use one of the attributes, the static, which means that how express is gonna deliver the static files down the stream. I'm gonna show you in a minute. For the time being, this is our server. This is the gist of it. This is the maximum thing. Now we're gonna add the routes to it. Routes are typically what our application is gonna listen to. So once our server starts at a specific URL and a port, we configure which URLs are handled and which URLs are skipped. So Express framework all by itself specifies all of the HTTP verbs such as get, post, delete, and so on. And all of them are available as .get function, .post function. So if I do app.get, what this means is that whenever there is a get request on the root, this function would get called. Which function? This function, request and response. So this is the way this works. What we're saying over here is that whenever there is a request, a get request to be precise, a get request on this path, call this function. This is the callback, the function which gets the request and the response in it. So we're not gonna handle the request. We're not gonna read anything, because maybe there won't be anything unless there are query strings or headers that we require, which we will cover in later modules and videos. But for the time being, we're only gonna send a response back. So as you can see over here, Visual Studio Code is telling us what we can pass, what we cannot pass, and so on. So we're gonna send something like hello from Node sample. So that's quite enough for this. Now, moving ahead, we can add more, like about, same, about this web app. We can add the contact page, how to contact, yeah, just my Twitter. If we run this application, it won't run because until now we have only specified the routes. We have not specified how our server is gonna start. We have not initiated that event loop that is gonna listen to the HTTP requests. So how we're gonna do is we're gonna do http.listen, and there it asks for a port number and the host name. Since we're gonna run it on the local host, I'm only gonna specify a port number. So I can go ahead and do this port number. I can use other variables, like I can do port is equal to 12345. I can do that as well. I can use a function. I can use some configuration files to specify this. That's totally up to me and you in your own case. So now if everything goes fine, this will start up our function. So because there still can be several problems, such as this port not being available. If this port is no longer available or not available at all, or your policy does not allow a program or process to capture this port, this application won't start at all, and you may even get an error. So you should look after that. Anyways, once our server started listening at localhost, yeah, port. So there, that is the whole of Node.js server, right? So we can go ahead and start the server right now, and starting the server would only take this line from me, because we currently have app.js file open. It won't do anything. It won't look into the package.json file, because we can configure which application to run over there. But what it will do is it will check which file to execute. So app.js is open, so it will run app.js. So as you can see, server started listening at localhost 12345. We will now go ahead and send some requests to this address. So, right, as you can see, we now have hello from node sample. If we try and go to other pages like about, this is what happens. Contact, this is what happens. And what if we go to some other pages? Can't get, oh, let me be a bit simple. So contact me, let's say. So it suggests can't get contact me. But there is another way, efficient way of managing this one as well, which is app.get all, which means get everything, every other page, because it runs from top to bottom. And what happens is that it captures the path, it executes the callback where the URL matches. So for about, it matched in the second function, then third for the contact, and afterwards it was no longer able to find such a function that could be executed for contact me. So that is why it suggested that there is no function that could handle this URL. So what we're gonna do is, in this function we're gonna say bud, you're lost. Now we would have to stop this application, which I did with Ctrl+R+M. No, I don't want to apply it. And then I'm gonna run it again and go back and refresh that page, but you're lost. So which means that you can configure any URL that you can possibly think about, which is quite easier in Node.js as compared to ASP.NET, because in ASP.NET, even it is easier in ASP.NET as well, but in Node.js you can see it's quite simple. You just have to add an app.get, and even if you have to configure for other cases, you can just do this app.all, and if a request doesn't match any of the requests or routes specified above, any HTTP request would fall into this category. Even the post options or even your own custom HTTP verbs, everything would match up right over here before the node runtime controls and throws back an error. So yeah, what are you trying to do? Right, so yeah, this was quite it. This was quite it for the video. I did not want it to be around 25 minutes, but yeah, I think I'll have to break it down into two videos. Until now, we have just merely scratched the surface of Node.js and how the routing works. In the next video, I will show you how templates work and how you can configure the templates using Pug framework and then render out the content with a template, so that your website can have a look and a theme of an actual web application or website or your own blog or whatever you may be building. So yeah, thanks for watching, and you can continue to the next video to see how Pug works. Thanks.